Number 3. At the time this took place, I was 15, which was just over a year ago. I did some volunteering at a school for special needs, where my nan works. I should point out, the aim of this school is to make the student independent and to teach them how to live with their disabilities, so that they can go on with life without needing to rely on others to look after them. When I was there, I had a great time. I supported loads of young people struggling with special needs, and heaps of them had a little crush on me, giving me little love letters and innocent things like that. I heard that a boy, exactly the same age as me, had a crush on me. It didn't shock me, as he wasn't the only one, and I was popular amongst the students there. He had no physical disabilities though, only learning and social difficulties. On my last day, this boy approached me and said,
"We have the same birthday."
At first I was like, oh, that's cool. But then it occurred to me, how did he know that? Later that day, I asked my nan if she told him, which she replied with,
No, I've never taught him and I don't even know his birthday anyway.
As I said, it was my last day, so I forgot about it. A few weeks later, my nan rang me and said that a boy named Alex had given me a little card. When I received it and opened it, I could barely read the handwriting, so with the help of a few friends, we worked out what it said. It said something along the lines of,
"To Ella, I really like you, and I know we haven't been talking much, but if you want to reply to this message, just add me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and we can talk there. My accounts are gaming accounts, and I have a YouTube gaming channel."
I was curious, and I looked through his accounts, but didn't follow him. They did seem legitimate though. Around a month later, I had an extended school break, so I decided to volunteer at the school again to improve my CV. While I was there, he asked me for my social media accounts, which I politely refused to tell him, but that didn't stop him. The evening of my last day of volunteering, he followed me on Twitter, Instagram, and added me on Facebook. I declined his request on Instagram and Facebook, but my Twitter account wasn't private. I was really pissed off that he found them, but also confused how he shouldn't have known my last name. It's different to my nan's last name, and my Twitter username only had my first name in it since it was music related. I blocked his Twitter account, but he made more and more accounts no matter how many I blocked. He wouldn't stop tweeting me stupid things about how much he was in love with me. Eventually, I just gave up. He was disabled and probably didn't understand why what he was doing wasn't right. But then again, he hadn't been taught how to be independent and learn from what's right and wrong, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. This continued for months. I was in the habit of ignoring all of his tweets to me, but then he tweeted me something that made my heart stop. It was my home address. That's when things got even weirder. Somehow, he managed to hack my account, and he started tweeting things about how Alex and I are relationship goals. So with the help of Twitter, he didn't have access to the account anymore. I took this opportunity to report his account, but nothing was done. I read through the tweets too, and he wrote weird things about how we met up and went on dates and how he wanted to propose to me. I was getting really creeped out by this stage, but I knew that no matter what I did, it would be overlooked because he was disabled. Besides, he hadn't done anything threatening, really. One day, my boyfriend and I came home from school to start revising for GCSEs. Everything was normal for a while, but then he tweeted,
"When your girlfriend cheats on you,"
with a picture of my boyfriend and I holding hands that same day. We flipped our shit and went mad. I was scared because the picture, it was taken outside of my house. I told my mum, who called the police, but they said that they couldn't do anything. My boyfriend left at around 8 o'clock, and his mum was picking him up so he could get home safely. I asked for a text when he got home, so I was sure that he was home safe. He phoned me an hour later though. I asked him,
"What took you so long for you to text me?"
In which he replied, very calmly,
"Ella, Alex attacked me, and my mum. We're both okay, but I'm in hospital because he knocked me out. Don't worry too much about me, I'm honestly fine. But just tell your parents what happened and stay safe. The police are involved too."
Before I could say anything, he hung up. I did exactly what he said. The police turned up, asked questions, and started investigating. My school was contacted, and I wasn't allowed to be on my own anymore. My mum had to pick me up 10 minutes before the end of the day, just in case he approaches me when it's busy. The next day went by. My boyfriend sent me updates, and he was okay. I wasn't left alone, and I forgot about it for the majority of the school day. Following the instructions the police told me, I was sent home 10 minutes earlier, and I arrived home. I went to my room to revise, but before I did this, I rang my boyfriend to make sure he was okay. He was allowed to go home from the hospital since there wasn't much damage. He just had to take it easy. I felt really guilty for the accident, so I invited him around. While I waited, I did some more revision. Then, about an hour later, I heard my mum answer the door. I left my room, and to my complete horror, he was standing in my hallway. He ran at me and pinned me up against the wall. He was surprisingly strong, and then he whispered,
"We can run away now, or I'll kill everyone you love, until I'm the only one left."
He was then pulled off of me by my boyfriend, who put up a very good fight, and meanwhile, my mum called the police. He eventually was arrested, but didn't go to prison because of his age and disability. I was then informed about what he thought. He thought we were in love, and the reason why we weren't together is because my nan wouldn't allow the relationship. He kept notebooks about me, writing about our dates and how we were going to run away together. He had a detailed plan about how he would kidnap me and then we could live together. He actually rented out a motel using his mum's credit card too. The police didn't go into too much detail, but did mention that he was obsessed and everything he did, I was somehow impacted by it. I've been to therapy because of this, but I'm okay. I've never gone into depth about this story, and I'm so happy I have now. It feels like a massive weight has been lifted off of me, but it's taught me a valuable lesson, to always block and report creeps on social media, no matter how many accounts they create. Number 2. It all started earlier in the year. It was the beginning of the year, and I was pretty excited to start the new year off as a fresh new person. As a lot of other teenagers do, I struggled with many problems such as depression and questioning my sexuality. It was just recently that I accepted myself as gay and thought that now accepting myself for who I was, I would finally be able to be happy and free. I had heard of this app called Grindr that gay and bisexual men used for hookups and for long-term relationships. It connected you to local people who lived within a 50-mile radius from you. I had heard many things about this app, such as how it was filled with horny and thirsty men who were looking for anyone to bang. I decided that I should probably stay away from it, but unfortunately, curiosity got the best of me. I created an account that I filled with general information, as well that I was new to the app, hoping people wouldn't be so rude to me. I had to falsify my age, however, since I was 16 and this was an 18+ app. After entering the last bit of information and uploading a picture of me, I was finally able to log on and see the many guys that were on the app, all searching for similar things. It wasn't long before I had my notification blasting with new messages from many guys. Guys varying from the ages of 18 to 58 were messaging me and asking me if I was down to hook up or would be willing to do a friends with benefits relationship with them. I kindly rejected all of them and decided to go to sleep. The next morning, I awoke to over 50 messages that all said the same thing. Down to fuck? I scrolled through them all, and one message in particular caught my attention. It was from a man named Ryan. Unlike all the other guys in the app, he seemed rather polite and respectful.
"Hi there, how are you? My name is Ryan, and you are?"
he asked. I replied with my name, and within 10 minutes he replied back and told me that he noticed that I was new here, so he decided to be a gentleman and give me a warm welcome. We talked for a while, and I got to know him as well as him getting to know me. Ryan was 32. He was very polite and handsome as well. He graduated from Harvard University and then Drexel University College of Medicine. He moved from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Long Beach, California to complete his hospital residency so that he could become an official pediatrician. He seemed like a great guy who I could learn so much from, so after speaking for a while, we exchanged numbers so that we could keep in contact more often. I trusted him. Our newfound relationship was going great. He wasn't like those other men looking for one-night stands. He was just looking for a friend. He was super polite and respectful, and he didn't mind me being underage. He said it was fine for us to speak since it was just a friendship and not anything intimate. I wanted to meet him, so I proposed the idea of meeting him for a cup of coffee at the nearest Starbucks. He liked the idea, and so we set to meet up at 3 p.m. the following day. I got there about 10 minutes earlier than the time set so that I could save us my favourite seats so that we were located in the back of the shop. It was 3:15 and he still hadn't arrived. I came to the conclusion that he probably forgot, and so I made my way out of the shop, but as I was leaving, looking down at my phone, I bumped into someone and looked up. It was Ryan.
I'm so sorry for being late. I had to help out my neighbour switch out a flat tyre for a new one.
He said this as he was deeply looking into my eyes.
Oh, it's fine. I thought you forgot, so I was just on my way out. Let's take a seat and order, shall we?
I asked. We sat back, sipping on our lattes as we spoke about one another more and more. I couldn't help but blush by his kind comments, and I was surprised to see him grab my hand and hold it tight. He was getting ready to lean in to kiss me, but I immediately stopped him. I didn't want him to get the wrong idea, and so I told him that I wanted to be nothing more than friends. Plus, it was illegal in the state of California for a minor to be doing anything intimate with someone 18 and above. But when I said this, it seemed to bother and upset him. He let go of my hand, got up, and just walked out. 3 hours later, I received a text message from him. He apologized for making a move and told me he understood what I wanted and promised not to make a move again. I believed him, but looking back now, I was such a fool for believing him. A few months passed by without us speaking much, but then one day I got a message from him, which I suppose was his home address. "Meet me here. I have something to show you," he said. It seemed rather odd that out of nowhere he wanted to meet. However, being the ignorant teenager I was, and still am, I decided to meet him there. I had my mother drop me off, whom I told I was going to a friend's house. I got off and walked up to the porch. The house was an architectural masterpiece, and it was really stylish. It was obviously an extremely expensive home. I knocked once, and soon the door opened with Ryan smiling in a dress shirt and dress slacks. I hate to admit it, but he really did look handsome. I was sort of enticed by his charming good looks, and when he asked me if I wanted to come in, I did it without hesitation. I was still wondering why he asked me to meet him here, and so I asked him.
What a beautiful home you have here, Ryan. I'm confused though. Why did you want me to come here?
The last time we met up, it didn't end so well. I didn't really present myself as the true guy I really am, so I wanted to make it up to you. Come on, take a seat. I made dinner for us,
he calmly said. I took a seat, as I didn't want to be rude. The table wasn't small, but it wasn't huge either. It sat 4 people, so I sat facing him. He brought out 2 plates, one for me and one for him, as well as a bottle of red wine. He grabbed 2 wine glasses and filled them up.
I don't drink, Ryan. I'm underage and don't want to get in trouble,
I said nervously.
Don't worry, 1 glass won't get you drunk. Plus, it's wine. No one will know. It's alright,
he said as he poured me a glass in the kitchen. I thought I had nothing to worry about, and so we had dinner. I was surprised that he cooked well, and I was even more surprised that I enjoyed the glass of wine. It wasn't so bad, I thought. After dinner, we sat down and talked about grades and such. But I began to feel a bit dizzy and disorientated, so I got up and told him I wasn't feeling well and that I had to go home. As I was making my way out the door, he grabbed me and dragged me back into a bedroom, which I suppose was his, and that's all I remember from that point. After that, I remember waking up in a bed next to him. It was early morning, and I was scared, shaking, and choking on tears as I tried to remember what happened. I was stripped of all of my clothes, and so was he. I scrambled to get dressed and ran out the door, not looking behind even once. I ran home, and using the spare key my mother keeps under the mat, I quietly walked in and walked to my room where I laid on my bed. I just laid there, contemplating what the fuck happened last night. I never went to the police to report what happened with Ryan. I was too ashamed to admit that I was a victim of rape, possibly. I just kept it all to myself. I didn't tell anyone, ever. I felt like an idiot, like a fool for believing him, for trusting him and all that. I was also afraid of what he would have done if he found out that I turned him into the police. I deleted and blocked his number. Now, 7 months later, I still have nightmares of what Ryan did. I still receive messages and calls from unknown numbers who I know are from him. I answered his call one time after the incident, and he confessed to drugging my wine glass when he was pouring it in the kitchen. He taunted me and tormented me about how much fun he had taking my innocence. I have since deleted Grindr, and I have decided to learn my lesson. Never give your full trust to anyone you meet online, as there are sick people out there. People who want to take advantage of you to fulfill their sick needs. Online, you can never truly know anyone's intentions. Number 1. This happened to me just this past summer. I started working at Walmart helping them with their remodel. It wasn't hard work and paid well for a college student. After working there for a few weeks, I was approached by one of the cashiers while I was on my lunch break. Her name was Taylor. She was a very petite Asian girl, 20 years old, and barely even 5 feet tall. She sat down at the table and I was sitting alone and started chatting with me. She introduced herself as we had never formally met before and made small talk. However, I could easily tell that she was hardcore flirting with me as she started to ask if I had Facebook and Instagram and suggested me to friend her. I'm a friendly guy and I went along with the flirting and responded in ways that didn't suggest that I was interested in her advances, but rather I was just being nice. She then asked for my cell phone, for which I told her I'm not comfortable giving away my number to someone I don't know well. She then went on to ask if I was busy tomorrow and that we should hang out. I told her that I had to work at my other job, Phantom Fireworks, and that I was busy for most of the day. I excused myself from the break room and said bye to Taylor. I get home and check my phone to see a friend request on Facebook and a follow request on Instagram from this girl. I kindly accepted and then just went on with my night. I got up early the next day for work at Phantom Fireworks. It was about noon when my manager came up to me and asked for me to come into his office. He pulled up the screen of the security cameras and asked if I had an Asian stalker from Walmart. I looked at the live feed of the cameras and see Taylor walking around the parking lot and eventually stopping at my car. This obviously freaked me the hell out. I guess she stalked my Facebook and found that I worked here and saw the pictures of my car. My shift ended around 6, and when I went to open the car door, I noticed a sealed envelope slid into the handle. I get into my car and open the letter. Out falls a picture of Taylor, along with a love letter. It said,
"Hey, I hope you have a wonderful day at work. I'm so glad we started talking. Love, Taylor."
Then she read a list of adjectives describing me, and finally asking if I thought her picture was pretty. At this point, I was very creeped out and a little annoyed, and so I planned on talking to this girl in person the next day at Walmart. However, that same night, I received a text message from a number I didn't know. I replied with the typical, "Hey, who's this?" The response from this number was, "Taylor." That was enough for me. I called her and questioned her as to how she got my number and why the fuck she would come to my work unannounced and leave me a letter on my car, and let her clearly know that I found this very weird. I guess I'd put my cell phone number on my Facebook profile or something. She apologized and said that she thought I'd like it and she was trying to be sweet, and then went on to ask me if I thought she was pretty. I told her that I was just not attracted to her, and she was upset and hung up the phone. The next few weeks at Walmart, I would catch her following me around work, making obvious attempts to pass by the aisle I was working in, catching me while I was on my lunch breaks, and even would come an hour early for her shift in order to see me before I left for the day. During one instance of her attempts to talk to me, she asked where I lived. I asked her why she would need to know where I lived, and she said, "So I can meet your parents." At this point, I was tired of her stalking and following me, and her response sent me over the edge. I yelled at her,
Why the fuck would you need to meet my parents? I don't like you, Taylor. I'm tired of you stalking me. I'm serious. Leave me the hell alone.
She ran away crying, and I went on about my work. The next week, when I would head home from work, I noticed a red car that followed me all the way home, but wouldn't turn onto my small 4-house lane. This obviously weirded me out, as I was really wondering if it could be Taylor trying to find out where I lived. I didn't question it when I would see her at work, but I started trying to find out which car she drove to work. But I never figured it out. I was home alone for the weekend, as my parents were taking my sister on a college visit. It was about midnight, and I was watching TV when I noticed headlights coming down the driveway. This caught my eye, but it's not unusual since my neighbour's teenage kids across the street are always going out on the weekends. However, the beam of the headlights, it kept slowly coming towards my house, and I peered out of my kitchen window towards the road, and it was the same red car that had been following me previously. I froze, not knowing what to do. I tried to look to see what the person was doing, but I didn't have a view. I could see the red glow of the taillights as the car came to a stop and then shut off. Fuck, I thought to myself. Whoever this person is, they're not going away, and whatever their intentions are at midnight, it's probably not good. I turn off the TV and the hallway light, rush upstairs to my room and grab my knife and a small LED flashlight. I hear the doorbell ring. I stay still in my room, listening to any noise I could pick up. The doorbell rings again and again, followed by someone banging on the door. The sound was echoing through my entire house, and it was really loud. I thought to myself,
This couldn't be Taylor. She wouldn't be able to pound on the door that hard. Whoever this person is, they've got some weight behind them. Who could it have been then? An angry customer? Someone I cut off driving one day who had been plotting revenge all this time?
whoever it was, they seemed pretty furious and dedicated to get inside my house. I creeped downstairs and slowly approached the front door. After they had taken a break from banging on the door, I yelled out,
Who the hell is it? And what do you want?
The reply, it chilled my bones and sent the hair on my neck straight up, while also infuriating me.
It's Taylor. Let me in. We need to talk. Now.
I unlocked and opened the main door, ready to flip out on this crazy girl and tell her off once and for all. In between myself and Taylor was a separate thin glass door, similar to how screen doors are. I unlocked it and stepped outside, and there she was, standing with her hands in her pocket, looking all innocent as if she hadn't done anything wrong. I yelled at her, demanding she stop following me and stalking me, and that if she doesn't get off of my property, I'm calling the cops. Her reaction to this confused me. She started grinning, slowly. Eventually, a wide smile, and her eyes popping out, staring straight at me.
What the fuck is so funny? Get off my property now.
She interrupted me and said,
No, no, no. This is not how it's going to work. I've been nothing but nice and sweet to you this entire time, and you've done nothing but treat me like shit. You're going to like me, and you'll be the best boyfriend to me. Is she seriously saying this to me?
While thinking this, I see her reach into her sweatshirt front pocket. She pulls out a pistol. The second I saw it, I ran into my house attempting to shut the door behind me, but she was right on my tail. I sprint up my staircase, down the hallway and into my room, quietly closing the door behind me. I hear her, slowly, walking up the steps. I look around my room for my phone to call the police, but I left it on the couch when I was watching TV. So, this is it, I thought. I'm going to be murdered because some psycho girl at Walmart couldn't get over me not liking her. At this point, I grab a pocket knife out of my pocket and grip onto it tightly. I'm crouching along the wall, behind where my door would be if it was opened. It's now my only shot at surviving. I hear her approaching my room, opening every door on her way. Her footsteps come to a dead stop outside my door. There's no lock on my bedroom door, and I'm shaking with fear, but my mind stays clear from the rush of adrenaline through my body. The doorknob turns slowly, and the door, it slowly opens. She takes 2 steps into the room, when I use my force to slam the door against her. I hear a body thud to the ground, and Taylor grunt in pain. I rise from the position behind the door to see her sprawled out on the floor outside of my room in the hallway, pistol still in hand. I sink my blade all the way into the shoulder of her arm that was holding the gun. She lets out an ear-piercing scream of agony and she writhes in pain. I grab the gun and pull out my shoelace from my shoe to use it to tie her legs together. I did this so that she was unable to escape while I ran downstairs to retrieve my cell phone. I call 911 as I run back upstairs, Taylor still on the floor crying and holding her arm. The police, they arrive in about 15 minutes and she was put into an ambulance, and I never saw her ever again. I gave the police my statement of everything that happened and the events leading up to what occurred that night. I was told a few weeks later by the officer who came to the scene that Taylor would be charged with criminal stalking, trespassing, and attempted murder. Her trial, it's set for December 11th of this year. G'day mates, it's Busta here. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. So, I kinda guess this might be an awkward time to ask for you guys to follow me on Facebook and Twitter then, hey? Alright, I'm here till Thursday. Thanks again to the Hive members that bravely shared their story for us all here, and I hope you guys are all doing well. For the chance to have your story feature in a video, you can send your story to my email, which is in the description below. And as always, keep them coming, guys, as this channel relies upon your stories to continue. Also, please do me a favor and just state in your email what your story is about in the description, and also provide me with a short written statement of consent just so that I can be above board with everything. And also remember to tell me in the email if you'd like to remain anonymous, and change any names if you don't want particular names to be shared. So, the next topic I'd like to cover, I'm really hoping to do another police stories video and also another military video. I actually had a police stories video up once before, but due to some issues with it, I unfortunately had to take it down. But the video was actually really popular and it had a lot of likes and views and stuff, so it'd be cool to bring up a fresh video to replace it if I could. I also had a military video once before as well, so it would be nice to be able to replace both of these. So for all of you officers of the law and military men and women out there, I'd love to hear from you. These stories can be anything from heated events, paranormal activities, anything really, just as long as it's scary and it happened to you or someone you know. But remember guys, even if you don't have this type of story, please continue to send your stories in anyway. As always, it would be awesome if you could like, share, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for updates throughout the week. I promise I won't stalk you. You can also catch me on my second gaming channel, all of which have links in the description below. Thanks for always tuning in, guys, and I'll see you mates in the next one.